welcome to our very first Coffee at 10 for the Youth Arts Show. And thank you guys for coming after the blizzard of 2026. Yeah. I'm hoping everyone was able to get unburied relatively easily and quickly. So first of all, thanks to Roast and Toast for providing us with our lovely coffee and our pastries. As always, we wouldn't be here without them. Today, we're going to start off our Coffee at 10 series with Ellen Blanchard. Ellen is a regular here at Crooked Tree Art Center and is the chair of the outreach committee. So you've probably seen her around a few times. But if you didn't know, Ellen is also the co-founder of the Little Traverse Civic Theater's Theater for Everyone program, which will be discussing the impact of empowering youth through art. She's also a trained educator, having received her master's in education from the University of Michigan in 2016. She is thrilled to be making this presentation surrounded by the excellent student work on display here and all over. If you have a chance to come in, Zoom audience, it is literally floor to ceiling in 2 galleries. We're looking at about 1,800 pieces of artwork from about 30 schools. So it really is an impressive display of art. Ellen has volunteered with Crooked Tree Art Center for many youth arts programs, and now with Theater for Everyone, she wants to share her experience with engaging youth in arts education. So, okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This is quite exciting to be making a presentation in this room surrounded by this art because it makes me so excited. I was born and raised in Petoskey and then moved back 4 years ago. I did not think I would ever move back to Petoskey, but I'm very glad that I did. And this youth art show is definitely an annual event that I always look forward to. I had the honor last year of being a judge. The honor, but also incredibly difficult, so difficult, because when you take the time to look at things, it really is absolutely incredible. And we're going to talk about how much I love art and love empowering youth through art. And I'm going to teach you how you can also empower youth through art. And our Zoom as well, which I'm hoping there are a lot of people on Zoom because I hope people are staying safe. So here is about me. I tried to list things that maybe not everybody knew about me because I do know some of you in the audience, including my mother. But so she probably knows all of this. So I was born and raised here. I have been an audience member of the Little Traverse Civic Theater since I was 5. I remember sitting in the front row and watching The Gift of the Magi. I was in my first production on stage. I was in Almost Maine last spring. Can't believe it was my first time performing with Little Traverse Civic Theater. It took long enough, but I love being a very enthusiastic audience member as well. I attended the Stratford Festival in Ontario, Canada. In Stratford, Canada, I probably thought Shakespeare was from Canada until I realized he was from the real Stratford in England. I remember seeing Camelot when I was 7. I still have the t-shirt that says Stratford Festival 1997 season. So that was age 7. Then when I was 17, I participated in the 2-week musical theater intensive program, and we turned the Odyssey into a musical. So that is a very fun fact about me, that I attended Canadian musical theater camp. I tried to find video of it, but I don't think it exists. I know someone posted it on Facebook when it happened in 2007, but I couldn't find video. But instead, we get to be surrounded by the present day art expression of students. You don't need to see mine. I'm so thrilled that Crooked Tree found this picture of me because I actually don't have a copy of it, but I have used it on online profiles. And it was taken in Ann Arbor during the winter. You can see the snow behind me. And it was my headshot for a play that I auditioned for. So I thought that was just perfect, that it is a headshot. I mean, and for professional purposes, but also for arts purposes, which is very fun to see. Here's some more examples of why I can talk about arts education. Here are some examples of things I've done. Even when I was a youth, I was empowering youth. So some of you may know about the elementary enrichment play that happens in the spring. I don't know what their show is this year. Does anyone in the audience know what their show is this year?
It's not a book.
Ooh.
Like Disney.
Book Disney. Oh, very nice. So I was in the enrichment play. And then when I got to middle school, I desperately wanted to help out. So I was that little 11-year-old wanting to be backstage helping out. I was a camp counselor for the first ever arts camp that took place down in Wolverine in 2010. Up in Wolverine? Up in Wolverine. It's north. I had an incredibly long title of daily arts facilitation intern and high school volunteer trainer at the Minnesota Children's Museum in St. Paul, and that was in 2011. We're going to talk about something I learned in that program that has been incredibly helpful, and that was just a summer internship. I use formal analysis with famous art in my daily lessons as a teacher. I'm currently a substitute teacher, so I don't get to do it as much, but I definitely still try. I'm a docent here at Crooked Tree, so I get to look at all the art and hear what young people's reactions are, which is very fun. And Michelle and I co-founded the youth program and so much more, the Theater for Everyone. So I know what I'm talking about. You can listen to me. I needed to do this also for myself, to remind myself that I have things to say. To establish to my audience that I'm a credentialed speaker. So this is something I would do in my classrooms. When students walk in, that I would call it a do now on the board. So this is when you can participate, and you can participate at home. So here's a famous piece of art. But imagine that you have never seen it before, because the last time I used this, it was with 6th graders. So they had never seen this before. They didn't have a lot of context. They were reading a book about a refugee, and it describes her house and her living situation. So I wanted to give them an example of a room that maybe they had never seen before. So I love starting with, what are 3 things you notice in this picture? Can anybody raise their hand and give me one thing that you notice in this picture? Michelle. A large bed. Anything else? What do you notice? The red. Oh, good, great color. I love that color. So this is so much fun to do with young people, because they're going to notice things. They are going to zero in on things that we don't notice as adults. So I'm using the laser pointer to point at the things they want to know. What's on this table? What is that? They don't know. They don't know that it's a water basin. If you didn't have a sink, that you would fill that with water. Well, is it a shave? Did he shave? Is this like man's room? Then they start making assumptions, and I have to back them up a bit and say, wait, I'm just asking what you notice, because I get to compliment them and say, your brains are working so fast, but we're just noticing. Then they get to think about what a title for the painting would be. I also use at least 4 words. That's a little teacher trick I have, because if you don't say that, some kid guaranteed in the classroom is going to say room. That could be a title. So to encourage them to be more creative, at least try to get one adjective in there. You designate some instructions that they have to follow, but you don't say what words they have to use. So that's a great thing also about art, is a lot of art projects have instructions, but then you don't have to dictate what color students use or what direction they go. So giving them a container in which they can paint anything. And then usually for the third question, that this is a connection to the curriculum, what we're doing, the lesson, to try to ease into the lesson. So that's how I incorporate art into my lessons, because I'm not an art teacher. I also probably should have mentioned that sooner. I'm not an art teacher. I am a social studies teacher, but I've actually found it quite easy to incorporate art into lessons this way. This is a very simple way to find famous art. And this one especially, because it's in Chicago. It's Van Gogh and it's in Chicago. And then I get to tell kids, I get to tell students, when you go to Chicago, you can go, and you go to the art museum, not if you go, when you go. I just act like they are gonna go because you want to give everyone the opportunity to picture themselves there. So this is a very wonderful way to incorporate art. Another thing I have done in a social studies classroom with art is done a reader's theater of the writing of the Treaty of Versailles. I thought about projecting that and making all of you read some of it. Don't worry, we're not going to do that much audience participation, but you have someone playing the role of Woodrow Wilson. And so then they are going to remember, and then they remember the words they say, and then they end up teaching the rest of the class. Oh, this is what I said. This is what I said. So I end up, if it's a reader's theater, I don't have to say a lot. So I love finding ways to incorporate art. Draw their interpretation of this. That is also really fun to do for students. It's really hard because in a social studies classroom, you don't necessarily have all art students. You have a small group of students who love to draw. So you have to meet a range of student needs and abilities. So I don't always just have them draw or paint. I try to do a lot of things to incorporate art because some kids don't know what they like. Maybe they would never take an art class. They would never choose to take an art class, but maybe they'll do a little bit of art in Miss Blanchard's social studies class. Okay, I found this picture. I pulled it from the Crooked Tree website because I'm in it. I got very excited. The first time I saw it, I was very excited. So that was probably last year on a school tour. I think it was against this wall. In this row of paintings, we had a lot of animals. I was trying to remember what was I asking, and I was probably asking, what animals do you see? So there's a dog, there's a polar bear on the iceberg. Ooh, I have a laser pointer. So there's a dog cuddling with a little toy. There's a polar bear. And then this one, wasn't this girl holding a chicken? I think it was a beautifully drawn chicken. So that was also very fun to, what animals do you see? Well, and actually also, I think there was a dog in this one as well that I didn't even notice because it kind of blended in with the brown of the blanket in the picture. But of course, the little eyes caught that. And I love that when young people can catch something that I don't. As you can see, I have a bunch of links right here. Then they're all TikTok. They're mostly TikToks. We're not going to watch them because unfortunately that's not going to work. Yeah, that it's just not going to work. But I wanted to share with you a meme that had gone around the internet of, this is what a lot of art teachers do on the internet. First grade art project expectation. Here's the example picture. And then they show what art was created to be funny, to show, oh, little kids can't do it. Or I don't know. I like it for like its viral nature and people wanting for the meme to be, the little video to be watched. But it's not fair to expect first graders to make a perfectly symmetrical gradient ice cream cones. I think this is a wonderful, like, cut it, using scissors, the gradient of colors. It presents a lot of really good ideas, but the first graders aren't going to be able to do it. But up here, I put that process is so much more important than the product. This is just a very funny internet meme, but there are a lot of them. So I have seen a lot of versions of this, and they put funny music behind it. There's a version of Earth, Wind, and Fire's September, and it plays. And then when it gets to the little kid art, it goes to someone playing it on recorder to represent little kid art. So it's the original song and then recorder art. So I was going to show you one of those, but I'm not going to expose you to TikTok if that's not what you choose for today. That's fine. So when I was the arts, what was I? The daily arts facilitation intern at the Minnesota Children's Museum. We saw a lot of this art, which is beautiful and so fun Because when a little kid hands you this piece of art or shows it to you, what do you say? It's so pretty, good job. And it's so beautiful. It's not perfect. It's not technically perfect art. So what was drilled into our minds was this acronym, MAP, or MAP. So I learned this acronym 14 years ago, and I use it almost every day. MAP. So the M stands for make observations. So instead of having your first response be, that's so beautiful, your response is, that's a lot of green. It challenges you to not just give a subjective, easy answer. It really helps you look at the art and respond to it. And not make assumptions about what it is, because I think we've probably all been in this situation where we might say, oh, that's a beautiful lion. And they say, it's a mermaid. So making observations can also protect your heart and their hearts. Oh, I'm probably hitting this too much. I'm so sorry if that made a noise, folks on Zoom. I talk with my hands a lot, obviously. So we make observations with the M, and then the next step is ask questions. So as the daily arts facilitation intern, we were in a little art studio in the museum. So we had all the supplies, very similar to the studio downstairs. You have all the supplies available. So, oh, that's a big yellow line. Could you add? Oh, no, I'm going to post challenges. JK. Ask questions. What does it look like to you? Why did you put a cat in the picture? What's the weather like in this picture? Ask very open-ended, let them talk. They're going to tell a story. Kids love telling stories. Then finally, the P is pose challenges. So this is also very good when you are in a studio art making space. And you have all the supplies and you can encourage them to add more, try again. Do you think you could add something else? Do you think you could make it bigger? Posing a challenge, that can be done when you're in an art studio space. This is hard to do if a kid just shows you their art, So we are going to practice with this piece of art, and then we can actually practice with one of these pieces of art around the room. So here's just a little kid art. I probably just Googled little kid art. I'm sorry, I don't have a credit or a name to give to it. But so we want to make an observation. What is an observation? An objective observation we can make about this beautiful example of art. The sun is shining. I see the sun in the sky. Absolutely. Is there another observation? Sun dog?
The reflection sun of the left, see that yellow?
Oh, Michelle, your brain is working so fast. You could, right. I see the sun. I see this as a cat. Also, my fiance saw it as a cat. I practiced this on him last night. He said, I see a big red cat. You could say, I see a big red dog. There's a purple house or a blue house. So making observations is much easier than saying, it's so beautiful, because I don't know. I mean, it's beautiful in its own way. I don't know what it's like to have a grandchild, and it probably is incredibly special to have a grandchild give you a piece of art. There is a lot of importance in that. As the daily arts facilitation intern at the Minnesota Children's Museum, sometimes it was hard. We saw so much art during the day. We saw so many kids. Honestly, it gave us something more to do with our brains than just say, that's beautiful, that's beautiful. Make observations. Ask a question. What's a question we could ask about this piece of art? Who lives in that house? That is so good. Is it right? Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. See, this just proves that I'm such a teacher. I love that question. I would love to know be genuinely curious. What is the kid going to say? Does the cat live there? Does their family? Does a friend? You're definitely going to get a story. Is it windy? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Is it windy? Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. And it honestly makes it more fun for you as the adult in the situation. Because then you can engage with over the piece of art, and not just say, that's so pretty. You can have a conversation about it. Because I'm not an art therapist, but I'm sure that allowing young people to draw something is a way to draw them out, as well, which is a huge point of allowing young people to engage with art, is drawing them out in ways that they did not expect. So now we made observations, we asked really great questions. What is a challenge? We are going to pose a challenge. What's a challenge we could pose for the young person who made this art?
Meet something or someone else outside with it.
Yeah, could you draw a friend for the cat? Could you draw a friend for the cat? That's a beautiful example of a challenge. It doesn't mean a challenge that would actually stump them. It mean in a good way. It's something else for them to do, open-ended. Get them, because probably another part of being at the Children's Museum was to get them to stay a little bit longer, have them really enjoy their experience there. This is a very useful acronym and tool to use with smaller children, but it's also very fun to do with high schoolers because you can probably engage in higher conversations. And the challenge you pose could be, I mean, come over when you're staying after and you're coming around to look at this art. Back here, there's a bunch of pencil drawings and they are gorgeous. I mean, they look like photographs of winged victory. It looks like a photograph. So it would be fascinating to make observations, ask questions, and post challenges to older students as well. I just love this acronym and have kind of been waiting my whole life to share this with a bigger group of people. I've definitely shared it with my mother. We've had many conversations about it, but I was very excited to share MAP with all of you. So that MAP is making observations is something I have been doing for over a decade, working with young people. And I've had the opportunity to work with young people. I did readers theater over at the library. And fatefully, Michele Cole signed up to be in my class. And then Michele called me and said, you want to talk about youth theater? So I can't believe it was a year ago. It was basically a year ago, and the amount we have done is incredible. So Michele, do you want to introduce yourself? I have the Zoom microphone on. Do you want to come over?
Stand by you.
Yeah, come stand by me. We need to be on the camera for Zoom.
How's that right there? Good. Hi, my name is Michele Cole. A little bit about me. I have my bachelor's of science degree, not art, from Lake Superior State University in nursing. And I have 5 children who we have homeschooled. That's where I've gotten most of my education in education. And I've graduated 4 of them, and my last one graduates this year, actually. So they are all amazing people, and they're my resume, really. So you should meet them. But because I am such an educator and I love it, and I don't have children anymore at my house, I needed some children. So we started a youth theater because drama is my other love. And it has been a wonderful journey to watch these kids, some of them who have never done any theater before, get up on stage and get their first laugh, and their little faces just light up like, oh, I made everybody laugh. And to learn that they have the ability to have a voice and to be able to use that voice to not just make people happy, but eventually to use it to influence people for good as well, is what my hope would be for these kids. And it's been a wonderful journey with Ellen and with Dave, Hines is our other cohort who helps us. And yeah, if you are interested in theater, we would love to have you come along on the journey with us. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Oh, I had one more
oh.
thing to say. I'm sorry. The map is such a wonderful thing. Actually, we use it in theater as well. After we watch them do a rehearsal, we do that very same thing. We make an observation. We give them a challenge to how can they make it better, and ask them questions about their own thing, and then always give them a help to how they can make it better and how they can do their performance to the next level.
Oh yeah, probably not the acronym MAP, but it is what you do after you rehearse a scene. You say, "This is what I liked. Why did you choose to do that? Could you try a different way?" That's like a perfect sequence of what to do after rehearsing a scene. Oh my gosh, it's all connected. It all works. It's wonderful. So Michelle is amazing. And I'm so glad that we got to do Readers Theater together and to see your talent. Also, Michelle has also been on the Little Traverse Civic Theater stage in Narnia. It took a while. We had to be really excited and talk about how much we love theater and what we wanted to do. And then we focused. The name didn't come right away, but it's quite fun. I love theater for everyone. Because it is so much more. I put that on the very bottom. It's so much more than just a youth theater program, because it is multi-generational. We do allow young adults to participate, and we need them to be mentors to the young people. There were 2 young people in my Readers Theater who are now, one of them is in the production of Annie that is happening in May, and it's beautiful to see this student who was incredibly shy at the beginning of Readers Theater and very hesitant. And now she looks adorable on stage and loves being on stage. And that has just been a journey that we couldn't have anticipated when we talked about theater for everyone. We definitely hoped for it, but then when it actually happens, it's so exciting. So it's multi-generational. I love our mission statement. A multi-generational program opening opportunities for neurodivergent individuals using drama and music to encourage healthy and healing expressions of art. I get it. And we didn't have to workshop that for weeks. It just sort of happened. We just realized the things that we wanted to do and the things that we wanted to share were there. We had the opportunity to meet with Orion, who's from Orion Cooling in Louisiana, who has a theater program that really does uplift the voices of neurodivergent and students with different abilities. And so we had the opportunity to learn from him. We had a little Zoom training with him, and we would love to do exactly what he does, but of course it's going to be a little bit different here in Petoskey. But it's so much fun. It's been such a fun learning process. It is free to all of our participants. There's no charge, no cost to participate and be in it. It's not our costumes. Our friend Crystal helps us find costumes. We don't do a ton of sets or a ton of props, but because it's mostly about having fun and watching students express themselves. So it's all volunteer organized and facilitated. Michelle, myself, and Dave are volunteers. All of our adult mentors are volunteers. And our community, you all wanted a youth program. There isn't one. There is the enrichment play, but that's very much in the schools. Every school has a play, but there wasn't a community youth theater program. So we get young people from Charlevoix. Did people come all the way from St. Ignace?
Yeah.
Yes, we've gotten young people coming from homeschooled students coming from St. Ignace. So we definitely are a community and multi-generational program. So we're not taking away from what the schools offer. We are adding to it and augmenting it.
It's not people who are neurodivergent, though we all are neurodivergent.
Yes, it's not right. We are welcoming to everyone. It's not exclusively for folks that are neurodivergent. but we are open to everyone. We are open to all. That should be in there. Multi-gender opening opportunities for for all and neurodivergent individuals. See, I need to add that. We just need to add that. Yes, thank you for adding that, Mrs. Blanchard. Here is our promo. Does it work? If I just click, will it work? Here's the promo for a variety show. It's 30 seconds long, but I think it is adorable to watch, to see what we do. Oh. I'm sorry. We just have to hit.
There you go.
There is music to go along with it. That I just wanted to give you the, so we practice right here on this stage, and across the street at the First Presbyterian Church. We use space over there. And it's fun. We meet once a week on Thursdays, and it's after school, and they warm up on the stage. And we did workshops all fall. So we had experts come in and talk about voice acting. We did stage makeup with Leanne Montel. We sang with Ricky Hill, who is a local troubadour, a local singer, songwriter. So it was a lot of fun, and it was free for attendees. So we packed you can't say sold out because we didn't sell tickets, but it was full. It was a fun event. It was fun and joyful. And it was the first time some of these young people were on stage, which was very fun. So can you click out of it? Because now I'm not in control. Oh, there we go. Okay. So here are some testimonials from folks who have participated, from students and young adult mentors. So Lake is a young adult mentor, and they said that I had not been on stage for 5 years, and T4E, Theater for Everyone, gave me the chance to return to acting and being a mentor. And Lake is phenomenal and has participated in both. We've done 2 seasons of Theater for Everyone. We did spring 2025, and we were a bit thrown off by the ice storm, by last year's intense weather, and then this fall 2025. So down here we have Addie. Addie participated and then came to Annie auditions and brought her dad along. So Theater for Everyone is multi-generational, and it encourages young people and it encourages their parents to come and be on stage, which is so fun. We had all of our young people share that. My favorite part of Theater for Everyone is, and we heard amazing, wonderful things, reading the scripts, the friends you make. We got to sing What a Wonderful World with Ricky. We had our workshops, scripts. We learned about set design. We learned about acting. We played games, accepting each other and trying new things. It's just, I was there when they all shared that, but then there was a whole video of it, and watching the video again, I got choked up because it's amazing. It's wonderful. And then here's our friend Dave, who is also a co-founder. He is a teacher in Charlevoix, so he could not be here this morning, but he always, usually always leads the warm-up game at the very beginning. And they've played so many fun games. We're a story, one-word story. Everybody says a word. And they go around improv games. They're always so much fun. And Dave did a lot of youth theater in the Upper Peninsula, so has always worked with the talented youth of Northern Michigan. So is thrilled that he's still working with talented youth on stage. Trevor Nelson is one of our adult volunteers. He sent me this via text yesterday. It's a great picture of Trevor. And he said, I believe it really helps with developing their creativity, and it's inspiring to watch them tackling their nerves to perform on stage, many for their first time. Last fall, Trevor got to be a knight in one of our skits, and his friend, who was also a knight, was a third grader. So they looked great on stage together. They had swords. And the younger participant didn't want to didn't want to say lines when he first joined Theater for Everyone. He said, "Oh, I just want to be on stage. I don't need to say anything though." And I think he had the most lines. The young student, and I think being on stage with Trevor helped. Trevor has been a fantastic role model and volunteer and supporter of Theater for Everyone. I'm so glad that he mentioned it was many of their first time on stage, because 3 of the orphans in the cast of Annie participated in Theater for Everyone. They are not all pictured in this. This is one of our orphan casts for Annie, which is a beautiful segue to Annie. This spring, with the Little Traverse Civic Theater and Michelle, Dave, and I, as the production team, we are putting on Annie the musical right here. It is May 7th, 8th, 9th. That's Mother's Day weekend. And then the next weekend, the 10th and 16th, are matinees. We would love to see you all come and support Annie. They are sounding phenomenal. If you buy tickets now, they are $5 off for the month of March. Had to say that. What time is it? It is 10:38. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you all might have, or anything else that you wanted to add. I'm just too
You
excited.
gotta stand by me though.
Okay.
I would just love to say, one of my favorite parts of Theater for Everyone in our last production was when Trevor galloped across the stage as knights. And it was so adorable and sweet to see this man who has his doctorate be willing to gallop across the stage like he's on a horse to support this kid who didn't want to have any lines, who found his voice at Theater for Everyone. And my heart almost burst open. It was so beautiful. So I just had to share that.
Yeah, we all had very special moments from Theater for Everyone. And we had rehearsal for Annie last night after 3 days of no school, and they hadn't seen each other. And rehearsal was great. They did a great job, and they came and sang, and they were together, and they are goofballs together, and they are having so much fun. And we don't have to be a part of that. It's their talent, and it's going to be their show, and it's so much fun to just be witness to.
My favorite adult actors have the adult roles. So this is the Broadway show. It's not Annie Jr. It is
Yes.
the Broadway. I mean, you can see Special Musical Theater International.
This is not Annie Jr. This is the full Broadway show. And we have some of our youngest actors. We have someone making their absolute stage debut at age 6. And then adults in the community who you've seen on stage dozens of times. And one of our Theater for Everyone participants brought her dad to auditions, and he got a role. So they're a father-daughter team in the show. And that is very fun. So it really is all ages. And I think about more than half of our cast is like half are young people in school under the age of 18, and then half are adults. So, yeah.
So every nonprofit has expenses, even if you do have a totally volunteer group with this. How are you paying those expenses? What's your strategy?
So right now, Little Traverse Civic Theater rents the space from Crooked Tree. So we do have the space. We are a subset of Little Traverse Civic Theater. I have a ton of scripts because there's a ton of free resources and Reader's Theater scripts online. We had a very small budget. We have been allocated a very small budget, but truthfully, once everyone is here, the bulk of it is read your script, let's play an improv game. I don't even know what the biggest expense could have been. We would love to pay volunteers. We would love to be able to give door prizes, raffle prizes to students who were involved. We kind of started that, so we got some donations last fall. So it really is not wildly expensive, but we do want it to grow, and we will be seeking donations from community members and places that have already been incredibly generous.
Venue is one of our biggest hurdles. It's just because that is one of the biggest expenses.
Yeah, the venue. And that's kind of already part of the venue expenses are part of Little Traverse Civic Theater's contract with Cricketry currently. Yes.
Not so much a question, but an option for kind of follow-up.
Oh.
Years ago, I got a chance to tour the Institute of Arts.
Oh, yeah.
We were rolling out a program, docents and guides, that instead of force-feeding information about paintings, they were supposed to ask the groups, what do you see? What do you think that woman was thinking? What's there? Which sounds a lot like math.
Oh, yeah.
Thing is, I don't know if they kept doing it. They said it looks very uncomfortable. They wanted a script.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
I'll repeat that into the microphone because I do want people on Zoom to hear. So the Detroit Institute of Arts tried to instigate, we want to ask more questions. We don't just want to be a faucet of information. But some of the docents at the DIA were resistant and just wanted to share information. That is a huge challenge because when you are an expert, I got to like list all the things that I've done. And when you do have a lot of information, I'm a teacher, you want to share all the information. So it is a really big challenge to step back and to ask questions. Here at it's the outreach committee members who are the docents. Penny Krim isn't here right now, but Penny Krim is a wonderful, wonderful docent. So we have a much smaller group to kind of train, and we do all end up on the same page, and we are all in the same boat of we love the reactions from students.
You're welcome for knowing that those programs.
Yes, if anyone is interested in being a docent, please follow the interested in volunteering link on the Cricketry website. I'm trying to look around to see the most, well, this wall, that's a lot of abstract, there's a lot of just colors, and it is so much fun to ask young people what they think they see in abstract art. Because it's all completely different. It was on this wall last year, curated gallery. I don't remember the name of the show, but it was next to the picture. There was a piano. It was a painting of someone playing the piano, and all the students knew that, and they could identify that. And then, of course, they wanted to tell me that they were taking piano lessons. And then the painting next to it was completely abstract. So, okay, we know this is of a piano. What is this of? And there was a moment of crickets, and they didn't know what to say. And then they all said, a car, a building, a light post, a bicycle. I mean, I loved it. I love it. So, but it is hard. I can also understand when you have all the knowledge, you do want to share what you know about it, but having a reaction to art is a huge part of why people are artists. So give yourselves a try with math. I'm not saying you have to be experts at it, but give it a try. It's very fun. It's very rewarding. Any other thoughts, questions? Ooh, Ava.
In terms of the experience with students, are there some who just want to do the Reader's Theater, or is the Reader's Theater like the first step towards doing a big production? How are the two related?
So, question about how Reader's Theater and a full production, are there some students that just want to do Reader's Theater or just a big production? Is Reader's Theater kind of the intro to it? So Reader's Theater we did 3 rounds of it. So we don't do readers theater anymore, but we incorporate it into theater for everyone. So usually reading through the scripts is a day process, is a day or two. To give them, we don't have an audition process, but it's much more casual. We want to see how they read and hear how they read. And we are so lucky that we are in a smaller community, so it's easier. We can hear everybody's interests. Readers theater, so reading through the script is always a good place to start. But then I also find a lot of young people want to do a production. They do want that chance to be on stage in front of people. They're so nervous. They are so nervous, but they still want to do it. So it's like that. I love that they love that experience. They want to be on stage, but then they're just so nervous about it. But they're excited about it too. And then it shows them that they can do it. Once they've done it, and if they've done it at age 8, yeah, it's so good for them. So read through, having a chance to see the script. When we did auditions for Annie, we put out an audition packet. So all of the information was available. All of the scripts were available. No one had to come in and do a cold read. We wanted to give people the opportunity to prepare and read through, and a lot of our younger actors have a mentor with them on stage, especially in Theater for Everyone. We have some students who couldn't read yet, and that's okay. That's perfectly okay. But so then they have a mentor who's next to them on stage who can help them. And that's okay. That's okay. We're not putting on a Broadway production. We are giving young people the chance to express themselves. And if they just need a little help with that, that's fine. And we are happy to offer that.
How hard was it to cut all those little orphan girls who tried out?
How hard was it to cut little orphan girls who tried out? We didn't have to cut any. We have done an awesome thing, and we had 20 young girls audition, and we were able to cast all of them. So we have 2 casts for Annie. So we have 2 Annies and then 2 orphan casts, choruses. So every other night is a different cast. So we didn't have to cut anybody from our show. This is a big show, and we have talented people. It was still there were still hard decisions because we could have had everybody be every role. No.
They cut themselves. There you go.
Yeah, no, we didn't. There is a lot of talent in this community, and it has maybe I wasn't super aware of it when I was little, or I took it for granted when I was younger. Like, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna go see a show. We're so lucky to have Bayview. Oh my. Thinking about that, we get opera singers coming here every summer. Things that are happening at the Great Lakes Center, the acting companies that come through are just immensely talented. But then seeing the people who audition for the show are so good, and people are unexpectedly talented. Like I didn't know you could sing. Oh my gosh, you could do a cartwheel. Michele can do a cartwheel. So just things you didn't know about people, and it's just so much fun to see the talent in this community.